Hello, and welcome back to the Wisdom of Warhammer channel. Today, we are going to be going over the current chapter master of the Dark Angels, Azrael. We will be going over his time as a space marine and becoming the chapter master. Then we will finish up with the lessons we can learn from Azrael, the Keeper of Truth. Side note, I do not own any artwork, and everything Warhammer is under the ownership of Games Workshop and Black Library, so go support them. Now, let's get this video started on Azrael, the Keeper of Truth. We do not know the childhood of Azrael due to all Dark Angels forgetting their past life and only focusing on serving the Emperor. But the rumors say that he came from the icy feral world of Chimera. He was the only recruit from his planet, so we truly don't know where he came from. Only the ancient records and Azrael himself know the truth. He passed the test to become an aspirant and became a scout in the 10th Company. Immediately, he performed past expectations, and eyes were drawn to him by the veterans due to his surety of purpose and dedication to the chapter. One time, when he was a scout and was with elements of the 10th, 6th, and 3rd Companies against a group of Eldari pirates. The 10th had the job of finding the pirates so that the other Dark Angels could come in and attack the pirates. After 2 weeks, the pirates refused to fight in an open battle, but the 10th Company found a webway portal, which the Eldari used to attack the planet without their ships. But when the sergeants were about to report back to the Dark Angels command, a group of pirates arrived and a fight began, but the pirates died. But realizing that the Xenos pirates would find out that their group was dead, the young scout urged the sergeant to assault the ship and deal a massive amount of damage. The Dark Angel scouts assaulted the ship and destroyed it. After this, Azrael earned his first laurel of victory and was one of only 6 individuals that received this in 10,000 years. Sometime after he became a fully fledged battle brother, and the other Dark Angels thought that he would join the chaplaincy due to his aptitude and knowledge of the lore of the Dark Angels. As Azrael rose through the ranks of the battle companies of the chapter, his reputation grew. One event that helped his reputation was the scouring of Truin 9. The 3rd Company arrived at the planet to investigate the disappearance of the Adeptus Mechanicus outpost and found no evidence of battle or its inhabitants, but continued into the abandoned outpost. The further they went down into the mines, they found the inhabitants in the fight between the Mechanicus and the miners. The 3rd Company found out the reason for the dead inhabitants, and it was a siren's call in the center of the planet, and it attacked the Space Marines and influenced the Space Marines after some time. The commander of the company, Master Baltheusis, ordered a majority of the company to stay on the surface while he and a few Marines find the source of the siren's call and end it. After 2 Terran days passed and no communication from the company master, Azrael disobeyed orders of Baltheusis and gathered some Marines that were able to think clearly. He led them into the depths and found Baltheusis' squad and himself. As Azrael and his battle brothers moved to the core, they fell to the influence of the siren song, and Azrael was left alone. He moved his way down and found the being, and it was a warp entity stuck between the immaterial and real space in a temple-like structure. It attacked him with its psychic power, but Azrael pushed on and shot and stabbed the beast, but it did not work. But he had a handful of melt bombs and decided to bury the beast, but he had no way out, so he resigned himself to death. He detonated the bombs, burying himself and killing the warp entity. But his story would not end here, and the survivors of the 3rd Company dug out their battle brother. After they returned to the Tower of Angels, the remaining 3rd Company stated that Azrael had earned the right into the Deathwing and had become a Deathwing Knight. From hearing and recognizing Azrael's good decision-making, and his heart and spirit was being watched by the upper ranks of the Dark Angels. But to advance into the upper echelon is to be skilled in more than bolter and blade. After his tenure in the Deathwing, fighting in the front, and within a couple of years, he became a Knight Master and was no longer able to become a chaplain. So the role of leader of the 3rd Company was his next step. After Baltheusis' successor, Master Ezekiel, died fighting a orc war boss. Even the 3rd Company petitioned Azrael's return as the company commander. During his time as the 3rd Company commander, he was successful in multiple campaigns, For example, when he fought the techno-recidivists of Phase 5, killing the Orc war boss who killed the previous 3rd Company commander, and the rebellious Northurianist monarchy. Azrael was building his reputation with the inner circle of the chapter, with him wanting to be the first to hunt the fallen, also as a respect of the chapter's tradition. It is clear that Azrael was destined to be the Supreme Grand Master of the Dark Angels. This happened during a hunt for the notorious Cypher, when the Supreme Grand Master, Naberius, died in an ambush with heretic Astartes. The Deathwing was pushed back from the body of Naberius, but eventually Azrael led the company in a counterattack that allowed them to retrieve the body of Naberius. After the funeral rites of former Supreme Grand Master Naberius were completed, the council voted to have Azrael as the new Supreme Grand Master of the Unforgiven chapters of the Dark Angels. As chapter master of the Dark Angels, he was given the Lion's Helm, Sword of Secrets, the Protector Armor, and Lion's Wrath combi weapon. As Grand Master, he was at the head of a powerful military force and was also at the head of a lot of hunts for the fallen. But as time went on, it was clear that some thought that Azrael was the best chapter master of the Dark Angels. But like all chapter masters before him, the Watchers in the Dark came to him and guided him to the deepest part of the rock. And in the depths of the rock, Azrael met Luther, the Dark Oracle, and former second in command of the Lion. Azrael listened to Luther's prophecies and his ravings of the Lion's return and his stories of Caliban. Some of Luther's prophecies turned out to be true, and he was able to prevent them from completion. One time, he led the Dark Angels chapter against Abaddon's forces on the Imperial battleship for revenge, but he was separated from the Deathwing. He found himself in a dark chamber alongside the champion of Khorne himself, Karn the Betrayer. He was able to escape the bloodthirsty World Eater, but Karn still hunted the chapter master of the Dark Angels. He eventually found the demon that separated him from his chapter, and it was one of the demons that whispered to Luther. Azrael knew the true name of the demon and was able to rejoin the Deathwing and the Grey Knight Brotherhood. At the end of the 41st millennium, one of the well-known fallen, Cypher, turned himself in to Azrael and told the chapter master about the Tutulcha engine in the rock. And also another fallen named Astalan and Nurgle's champion, Typhus, were in search of it. Azrael worked with the fallen and they both gathered the engine parts and activated it on the remains of Caliban, creating a warp rift in a small hope to prevent the destruction of Caliban. But Cypher went through the rift to change history, and from the failed pleas from the Grand Master of the Librarius, Ezekiel, Azrael threw the fallen from his time and 10,000 years ago across time and space. Then the Supreme Grand Master realized that he was the one who caused the scattering of the fallen after the death of Caliban. After this, a demon prince and other demons attacked the rock, but Azrael realized that this was a distraction and ran to Luther's cell and found that a fallen strike force destroyed the defenses and rescued Luther from his chains. After the expansion of the Great Rift, Azrael summoned the Unforgiven chapters, but not all came to the council due to current events. As the Unforgiven chapters ships drifted next to the rock, a massive Imperial fleet arrived with the newly returned Primarch Robute Gilliman at its head. Immediately, Azrael thought the worst, and that means that Robute found out about the Dark Angel's secret and brought judgment. But instead, the Avenging Sun gave Azrael and the Unforgiven chapters the Primaris Marines and the new technology that came with the Primaris Marines. Some of the firstborn Marines crossed the Rubicon, but some did die from the surgery. The new Dark Angels were told the traditions of the Unforgiven, but the inner circle of the chapters were skeptical about the new Primaris. Sometime later, Azrael crossed the Rubicon, and soon after that, the rock was attacked by Vashtor the Archifane, with the entire chapter of Dark Angels. They pushed back at Vashtor's forces thanks to Be'lakor the Dark Master arriving to disrupt the plans of the Archifane. The Unforgiven chapters gathered and tracked down the Archifane into an area of space and found a dark copy of Caliban. They realized that this was a trap and saw that Abaddon the Despoiler, Vastor the Archifane, and Angron the Demon Primarch and his forces. The Sons of the Line were outnumbered and were on the brink of defeat, but a massive fleet of Blood Angels led by Commander Dante, also with them their Gene Father and the Risen. Azrael fought alongside the Lord Commander and tried to assist him in the fight with Angron and saw the Line then coming to fight his corrupted brother. After Azrael led the Deathwing and the other Unforgiven alongside the Blood Angels, they pushed the Chaos forces back, while the Lion banished his brother. After this, he met the Lion, and he still continues to be the chapter master of the Dark Angels, under the Lion, who is now the leader of the Unforgiven chapters. Now we have gotten to the end of the lore of Azrael, the Keeper of Truth, and now we're going to go over the lessons we can learn from Azrael. The first lesson from Azrael we can learn from is to be willing to lead people. Being a leader means that you are responsible for a group of people and you make sure that that group is running smoothly. His battle brothers thought he would be a chaplain, but he did not choose that path. He went through the companies, and at times he showed a willingness to lead, like when he was with the third company and was waiting for Grandmaster Bathysis and his command squad. Instead of just waiting to die, he gathered his brothers that were not affected by the siren's call. After this, the remaining third company demanded that he be put in the Deathwing. After Azrael became a knight captain in the Deathwing, he was chosen by the Inner Circle to be the third company Grand Master. Another big time was when the Supreme Grand Master before him died in an ambush. He regrouped the Deathwing and led a counterattack against the Chaos Marines and recovered his predecessor's body. After this, his fate was sealed as the next Supreme Grand Master of the Dark Angels and of the Unforgiven chapters. Azrael is possibly the best chapter master of the Dark Angels in its history. A lot of Unforgiven chapter masters, company commanders, and squad leaders look up to Azrael for guidance on leadership. Being a leader doesn't mean leading a lot of people. It can mean leading one or two people, and you can run a group as well if everyone knows what they're doing. But more than 5 people can get tricky. So here's what I recommend. There are 2 books that you should read, and these are Extreme Ownership and Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Both of these books can teach you about being a leader and can also help you lead yourself. But if you don't have the urge to lead, then read these 2 books and then learn some leadership skills and experiences so you can lead when it is needed. The second lesson from Azrael is knowing when to keep the truth to yourself. Yes, telling the truth is good, but it depends on what the truth is, and sometimes telling the truth can cause more damage than a lie. For example, only the Supreme Grand Master and the Inner Circle are the only members that know about the Fallen. If the truth got out that a part of the Dark Angels Legion turned traitor, the Imperium's agent might come to destroy the Sons of the Lion. Also, another secret that the Unforgiven chapters don't know, and only the Supreme Grand Master and the Watchers in the Dark know, that Luther is still alive and imprisoned on the rock. Keeping this secret from the other Dark Angels is a must, because if the Dark Angels knew that Luther was still alive, it would just be like if the Imperium found out about the Fallen. It would spell doom for the chapter. That's why every Supreme Grand Master goes through a test to see if they are worthy of keeping the truth about the most valued prisoner to himself and only himself. Sometimes in life we have to not tell the truth because it has consequences for you, the person involved, and or people involved. Now, the person or people might find out the truth, but after the event has passed and when the consequences are not existent. But lying is still bad because you can believe a lie so much that it becomes the truth, and it will be damaging. There is a line said by Takashi Kovacs from Altered Carbon that says, when you believe a lie for too long, the truth doesn't set you free, it tears you apart. Yes, telling the truth is good, but sometimes it is better to keep it to yourself. Now we have gotten to the end of the video on Azrael and the lessons we can learn from the Keeper of Truth. In the next video, we'll be talking about the Wolf King Leman Russ and the lessons we can learn from him. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, then share it with someone who would like this. If you are new to the channel, subscribe if you want to see more content. I hope you guys have a nice day, and may the lion protect you. This is Wisdom of Warhammer, signing off.